Facebook changes every time I do this. Bizarre. Alright, hello, welcome. How are you? So today's live is introducing the four bodies. I'll get to that in a moment. Today, normally I'd be in the office. However, I had to switch my days around this week, so I'm very discombobulated. Today's Friday, and I'm at home instead of in the office. And on Monday, when I'm normally at home, I'll be in the office instead. And it was interesting noticing this morning the energy difference for me having Friday as a day off instead of a Monday. Monday, having come off the weekend, I'm already in that relaxed chill mode. Having Friday off instead, where I've just come off a couple of days of being in the office, it was so different. The energy was so different. I was like, maybe it'd be a better place to have Fridays off instead of Mondays. Anyway, so I was just down at the supermarket and, doing those things. Anyway, I've been very conscious lately that I've been noticing people and really sensing them and where they're at, just as you sort of, out in public or working with people. And a lot of the time, it's quite depressing actually, because you can feel people's disconnect to themselves. You can see gauntness or stress or tension in their face, and sometimes there's obvious telltale signs of unhealthy habits. I guess that's how I'm going to state it. Today. Let me get rid of this. Too many distractions. So anyway, I've noticed my noticing, and I was like, you know what I would prefer to notice. And I created a little game for myself, literally just today, and that is when I'm out and about, pick the person that you notice that's the happiest. Pick the person that you notice that's the healthiest. And the third one, pick the person that you notice who's the most embodied. And so, like, obviously happy, who's smiling the most, who's got the biggest grin, who's laughing. And what was interesting is in the supermarket environment is there wasn't much happy going on. One lady at the checkout gave me a nice grin, and I know she has to do it as part of her job, but she was feeling that, and I was like, okay, that's cool. She's my happiest person. The healthiest person, of course, this is all just judging through how people look. So who's looking fit, toned, tanned. My biggest measure that I use for healthiness is vitality. Who's got that spark in their eyes, who's got a bit more bounce, a bit more pep in their step. So yeah, the fit guy who looks like he's just been at the gym is the one that got the healthiest, just from my quick scan at the supermarket. And then the third one, the person that's the most embodied. So this one isn't necessarily that they're the happiest or the healthiest looking, but they're the one that looks most present, the most there, the most where they just know themselves and where they're at, and they're just not running away from that or hiding from it. So that was my little game that I created just at the supermarket a couple of hours ago. So finding the person who's the happiest, the healthiest, and the person who's the most embodied, so the one that's most present or in themselves. And I thought, like, I did know I was going to do a live today because clearly I didn't do one last Tuesday. I'd just gotten back from visiting my mum at my aunt's place, and that's a 4-hour drive, so I was buggered, and I was like, nah, stuff it, I'll do it on Friday. So last week on my live, we did the topic of what to do when what you were doing is not working, and I went just through a couple of hints or tools. But what I alluded to is that I'm going to be doing a much deeper line of inquiry. And so this game that I came up with this morning was actually perfect because what I'm introducing now is the 4 bodies. And this is really going to be quite a pivotal part of deepening our line of inquiry with ourselves. Okay, so Andrea, what the heck are you talking about? What are these 4 bodies? Okay, so we've all got our physical body. Now clearly when I'm at the supermarket scoping out my happiest, healthiest and most embodied people, I'm looking at their physicality. Okay, so my skin, my organs, my muscles, and my bone structure, all of that makes up the physical body. This physical body has physical sensations. I can feel it when I touch it. When I go to reach for something, I can feel the muscles that are extending and contorting and supporting me in doing that. So that's our obvious body. Okay, but what I'm introducing us to now, and this is not new, this is not unique, I haven't come up with this myself, it's been around a long time. Predominantly Clinton Callahan's work is probably mostly what dropped me into this concept of having these multiple bodies. I've also been exposed to M-braining ambit coaching, which is working with the 3 brains, head, heart and gut. So there's some elements from there, but I'm noticing it's coming through in so many people's work. So some people speak to 5 bodies, okay, as a spiritual body, which I don't include in my line of inquiry just because I don't see it in the scope of what it is that I bring in the work that I do. You can get coaching in spiritual work. I am very much on my own spiritual journey, but I don't claim to be someone that is all over the nuances of that. Okay, so I've kept it to the 4. So introducing the 4, the physical body. Okay, the intellectual body. So my brain that thinks, that has thoughts, the mind, okay, is the intellectual body. Interestingly enough, in our society or Western society, we are predominantly head-based or intellectually body-driven, more so than the other ones. Philip Shepherd's work, he's written 2 books, well, he's written multiple books, but New Self, New World and Radical Wholeness speak very much to us what I love is that he's done a lot of research and ascertained how it is that culturally it is that we are so intellectually driven as opposed to being driven by other areas. It sounds bizarre because this is our culture, and when we're in our culture we don't necessarily know any different. An alien visiting Earth would look at our Western society and go, wow, they're really head-based driven, they're really intellectually driven, as opposed to some of our indigenous cultures that actually operate from different centres. So yes, the intellectual body. The next one, the third one, the emotional body. So all our feelings, very much, heart has a lot of the feels, but we have our feelings expressed through our emotive words. However, when we drop in and actually really pay attention to each of those feelings, is that we can actually find the physical sensations that having that feeling produce in our body. So that's where we've got a crossover of our emotional body and the physical body. Okay, they don't all just work in isolation. We're an entire system and we work symbiotically. We don't just have one and not the other. However, we've definitely got some that we work with or we let override more so than others. And that's what this line of inquiry, by introducing these four bodies, enables us to do, is do deeper level of inquiry so that we're not ignoring parts of our system that might actually be trying to tell us something, might have some wisdom that's worth tapping into, or screaming out that in actual fact they've got a problem, but because we're not operating with all four bodies, four body awareness, that we just haven't attuned to that. So the emotional body, our feelings, okay. The energetic body, okay, so our presence, our purpose, our inspiration. I also bring into this the unseen, the unexplained, the quantum forces. And what I love is when we start to develop awareness around the energetic body, is that things that just never used to make sense, they maybe were just a niggle, all of a sudden drop in and become very clear, and we can become acutely aware of what's going on, not just energetically for ourselves, but for others. I've spoken in the past about energy vortexes and leaky energy, or tentacles of energy that are coming out and doing things that perhaps we're not necessarily aware of. So they're the four bodies that my line of inquiry will be including. So the physical body, the intellectual body, the emotional body, and the energetic body. What I'm going to be doing over the next 4 weeks is actually doing specific lives on each of those four and really opening up some concepts and awareness around those, each of them, and they need their own life to go deeper into them. Okay, but I just wanted to introduce the concepts and let you know what I'll be diving into. This is just one part of a much larger model. However, I could just jump in and start doing deep inquiry on it, but I feel that by introducing these first, you get an opportunity to start to consider your own relationship with these four bodies. Okay, so a line of inquiry, or a question you can ask yourself, is what is my awareness, my connection, and my comfortability with each of these four bodies? Okay, so I'll do this now for myself. So what is my awareness, connection, and comfortability to my physical body? So I'm 5, okay. Come a long way. If you'd asked me 3 years ago, probably be a 0 or a 1. So that's really interesting. The the not say getting a 10. So what's the gap there is just the ongoing building the relationship with the body. Yeah, I'm starting from a real low point at the moment in terms of strength, flexibility, fitness. We are making strides, but there's resistance in the relationship as it currently sits that I am working with, and progressing with, thankfully, progressing in the right direction. Okay, so what is my awareness, connection, or comfortability to your physical body? Okay, I advise writing these down. Put a date next to it, because as I said, I'm going to be introducing these in more detail. There's going to be a lot of information that can help support you in creating better awareness, connection, and comfortability to each of these bodies. So you can periodically check in and go, oh, okay, we've increased or we've decreased our score based on XYZ factors for yourself. All right, so the intellectual body. Okay, so it's 10. I don't like giving 10s because like there's always got to be room to improvement. So we'll say 9. So all the work that I have done in the coaching and healing space over the last 8+ years has had radical impacts on my mental health, my intellectual mind, my thoughts, my relationships to my thoughts, my relationship with my mind, my appreciation for it, how much focus and attention I give my thoughts at different points in time, depending on whether they're being beneficial or detrimental to me at the time. I will do intellectual body first, because generally as a whole that's the one we quite often have concerns with. So yeah, but that is nice to acknowledge how far I've come in regards to my intellectual body. All right, emotional body, so my feelings. So an 8. It was maybe in the first 2 to 3 years of doing my coaching accreditations that it became very clear to me very quickly that I had a severe disconnect with my emotional body and my feelings. I was so shut down to them and just had no skills in order to navigate. I've got a lot of resources already in this group about feeling feelings, because in actually having that awareness and working on it has had so much amazing stuff happen as a result. So yeah, my emotional body, awareness, connection, and comfortability with is an 8. So that's pretty cool. By the way, don't use this to judge yourself and beat yourself up. As I've stated, I've come a long way. Getting these high scores is just massive. I wasn't doing Facebook Lives at the beginning of my journey. Thank God for that, because it would have been terrible. But yeah. And lastly, the energetic body. So presence, purpose, inspiration, energy, all the weird synchronicities, the little magic, the little miracles, the things you can't explain, unless you want to delve into the world of quantum. So yeah, we're all right. So six. So six. Um, I guess in a way, look, my awareness, connection, and comfortability with my energetic body has just come through having enough presence in self to start to actually notice what's going on energetically, and being open enough, learning quantum physics, um, learning it, being introduced to the basic concepts of quantum was a big, oh, okay, so magic can be real, or magic can be explained by quantum, and therefore I can now consider that and be open to it. And in having the ability to be open to it, all of a sudden it's like, oh my god, this is a big part of my life. This is a big thing, part of who I am. The giving it a six is just, I'm not always completely present all of the time. I've come leaps and bounds, massive improvements, and coming from never ever being present in myself, in my body, to now where it's probably about 50-50, depending on what's going on at the time, has been massive. So and it certainly makes life a lot more fun when we can be open to the magic, the synchronicities, the coincidences, and things that show up, and yeah, it's good fun. So anyway, they're the four bodies that I'm introducing: the physical, the intellectual, the emotional, and the energetic. As I said, we're going to do deeper dives on each of those individually, and I'll kick off next week with the intellectual one. As I said, that's generally the one that's causing us the most grief initially, so to be able to make peace with that and have the ability to make peace with our intellectual body is massive. All right. So anyway, if you've had any experience with these beautiful bodies before, or perhaps you've got your own version of them, or even in just that level of inquiry, what's your awareness, connection, and comfortability to each of those four? Any insights? Love to hear them, and I'm really excited where this is going to take us. This is actually now driving my coaching sessions. It's driving the inquiry that I do with myself, and it's improved my effectiveness, my efficiency in everything that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm pretty damn excited to be introducing you to this work. Thank you. Thanks for listening. Yours in joy, and out.